Hello and welcome to the Stronghold Digital Mining Daily Update. Today is Wednesday, November 8th, 2023. It is almost midnight, so the day is almost completely done. But I'm observing that the price of Bitcoin, at least as of this moment on the Ziner.com Stronghold Digital Mining shareholder dashboard, right, our little homemade dashboard, is showing a price of $36,506. 36.5. That, my friend, is very interesting. Now, needless to say, right, we always look at hash price. That's important as well. I'm seeing 7.7 cent hash prices, which is very good, to say the least. But remember what we've talked about in the not-so-distant past, this idea that for there to be an environment in which shares of Stronghold Digital Mining have a chance to really excel and thrive, arguably we need to be in an environment where investor sentiment has shifted, first and foremost, as it relates to Bitcoin. Now, I think an argument continues to be made, right, by the market itself, that the sentiment is slowly but surely shifting. I have not seen $36,000 per Bitcoin pricing in probably over a year. Neither have you, right? So that's very, very interesting. We've consistently seen some very favorable hash prices, right? We've seen hash prices, or at least I've seen them, well into the sort of like low to mid 8 cent range, which is, again, phenomenal. I'm looking at grid prices, which just a little while ago were actually at $300 plus, both in PJM Penelec, PJM PP&L. Right now they dropped a bit to about $79, $79. So clearly, there's always that opportunity for the grid to get kind of interesting. Temperatures have dropped considerably. It's probably right around the freezing mark here in eastern Pennsylvania as I speak. And so, as we get a little further into autumn and arguably sort of like into winter, many of us, right, have I'd say mixed recollections of late last December, where on the one hand, I think we all grieved in a very sincere way for the human hardship that was caused by Winter Storm Elliott. And I think we recognized collectively, hey, we don't control the weather. I mean, I certainly don't control the weather. But we saw Stronghold Digital Mining, right, the company that we are co-owners of, that we are shareholders of. We saw the company both at the Scrubgrass waste coal reclamation facility, as well as Panther Creek, the Eastern Pennsylvania waste coal reclamation facility. Both those facilities diverted 100% of their electricity to the grid. We suspended Bitcoin mining operations to help support the grid during a really tough time for the grid, right? During late December of last year. It was a win-win situation. It was a win for the local community of which I am a part of, right? The lights stayed on. It was a win for the company, right? We were able to generate some really, really useful revenue at a time where we needed it. So, we shall see if something like that transpires again towards the end of this year. It occurs to me oftentimes late at night, sometimes even in the middle of the night, right? You sort of wake up and I think to myself, the control rooms never sleep. The control room at Scrubgrass, there's always got to be somebody there. The control room at Panther Creek, somebody has always got to be there. And I think it's easy to lose sight of that, right? We think of the stock market has certain hours. We think about our own lives, right? Having a certain rhythm to them, right? Where we're awake and then we sleep. Waste coal reclamation facilities, they really do have the potential to never sleep, right? And certainly in the case of Scrubgrass and Panther Creek, these facilities, generally speaking, run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And so I want to take a moment to thank those of you. Some of you do watch these broadcasts. Thank you for being in the control room. Thank you for doing what you do. I think it's very easy for any of us, myself included sometimes, right, to overlook the sacrifice, right? Because it's not just, weekday evenings overnight. It's weekends, it's holidays, it's really 365 days a year. So thank you. All right. The stock price, closed. I did see a trade below $4 for a little while today. All the operational numbers that matter the most to this business, to this enterprise, have been looking really, really good. That being said, hey, we are heading into the end of the year. It would not surprise me if there is some tax loss selling pressure, not just for Stronghold Digital Mining, but really a lot of other companies. In fact, we've continued to be sort of a part of a marketplace environment. And by that, I mean, the broader equities markets have been very, very turbulent. And, again, we are subject, oftentimes, our share price at least is subject to the ocean-like movements, right, that take place in the broader financial markets. We are but a relatively small vessel atop the vast ocean. And so if there are to be macroeconomic forces, right, headwinds, so to speak, that really start to gain some strength, I mean, we're really going to get jostled pretty significantly by those, by those stormy seas, so to speak. But, again, from an operational perspective, from a revenue perspective, what really matters are those grid prices and those hash prices. And perhaps in addition to that, what's really critical, at least from my perspective, is that we begin to see, as I said a moment ago, that marketplace sentiment shift, right? And I think based on the price action we're seeing with Bitcoin, okay, trading at $36,000 plus, I think that that shift is starting to not just materialize, but to sustain itself. That's not to say Bitcoin can't drop down to 32,000 or move around a bit, but what we're not seeing, at least not as of yet, is a pullback to say, the mid 25 or rather the mid $20,000 range, say 25, 26, 27, right? We're not really seeing that. We are, however, seeing Bitcoin remain above $30,000 a coin, and at this point now we're starting to move above $35,000 a coin. The next step in the journey, right, would be, say, $40,000 a coin. Then what happens when we're at 50,000 or 60,000 or 80,000 or 90,000 or 120,000? See where I'm going with this, right? If we get that sentiment shift, things, I believe, start to get a lot better for the environment in which our stock price trades, right? If we start to see a lot of investment dollars rushing into not just, say, a spot Bitcoin ETF, right, but also, on the periphery, the Bitcoin mining sector, Stronghold Digital Mining is going to be a tremendous beneficiary of that. It's just the way it is. We saw that before, right? When the company came public about 2 years ago, it was at the height of the euphoria surrounding Bitcoin hitting an all-time high. And shares of the company at that time, pre-reverse split adjusted, hit an all-time high of $35, I believe, and 80 cents a share, $35.80. So, in this next Bitcoin bull run, which I think it's fair to assume, and I'm sure you probably sense this as well, that bull run is imminent, right? We feel that it's getting closer and closer and closer. And we're going to wake up one day and pretty soon Bitcoin will be probably at 70, 80,000 a coin. Not saying it's going to happen overnight, right? It's going to be a bit of a process, but it's going to happen. I have every expectation that it will happen despite not having a crystal ball. And I suspect you might share the same feeling. Where's our stock price going to be at that point? And more importantly, where are we going to be as a business? As I've said so often before, I look at Stronghold Digital Mining and I look at the potential this company has, and I choose to measure the success of this business based on how are we able to grow into our full potential as a business, right? As individuals, right? As people, say internally to the company that are there for professional development, or, hey, I'm doing my job. I want to try to get better at my job every single day. Collectively, then as an enterprise, right? The enterprise gets better every single day. If everybody individually, right? If we all say, hey, I want to try to do my job better every single day. Okay, this business is not going to fail because of something I did or didn't do, right? I want to really take ownership of my role, whatever that role may happen to be at this business. It's going to be pretty darn tough for us to fail, right? Because we're all going to be moving in one singular focused direction. And then for those of us, right, that are exterior to the company, right, that we're not in there on a day-to-day basis, I think my showing up at almost midnight, at least to me, internally, I'm telling myself, hey, man, this is a commitment. Yeah, I know that I've said, hey, look, I'm hard at work on Scarlift, which I am. So I may not be broadcasting as regularly as I typically do. But then you get to the end of the day and I'm like, hey, what's really stopping me from doing this? I'm committed. I'm 100% committed, right? Not getting paid to do this. I mean, my payment, so to speak, is via the ownership interest in the company that I've got, right? For you, it might be, hey, maybe I'm going to, hit that like button or leave a comment. I mean, I don't really ask for likes or comments because that's not what this is about, right? I'm not here to build a YouTube channel. I'm here to, tell this company's story. I'm here to share this company's mission. I'm here to really evangelize something I believe very strongly in. And I know the word evangelize is a bit of a loaded term, but really all I mean is, hey, I'm here to tell my truth as it relates to this business. I live in Pennsylvania. I know the problem. I know how devastatingly bad, in layman's terms, right, the kind of bad junk that this waste coal material really is. I've seen it. I live not that far from a waste coal reclamation facility that could have and would have been Stronghold Digital Mining's third power plant, right? Third waste coal reclamation facility acquisition. This is just in my blood, So I'm optimistic, not based on hope, not based on faith, but based on the reality of the operational numbers I'm looking at that you can look at yourself. I'm optimistic that we're on the right path. So, okay, with all of that said, you may not see this until tomorrow, but regardless, let's stay positive, let's be great, and we will see each other again then.